Oh, hey. Hi. Thanks for watching these videos. Please remember to click subscribe, like, share them with your colleagues, and then click show more below each video. Lots of lesson plans and ideas, inquiry questions, perfect for your classroom. Thanks for watching.
So why is Pluto not considered one of the planets? I mean, it used to be. It used to be that school children all over the world would learn, my very excellent mother just served us 9 pizzas. That would be the little story, little mnemonic, if you will, to remember the order of the planets from the sun on out. Pluto lost its planetary status way back in 2006. But why? And who did this? Well, his name was Mike Brown. Ultimately, he was given credit for sort of spurring on this notion that Pluto shouldn't be called a planet anymore. But what was his reasoning for that? He wrote an interesting book, actually, called Why I Killed Pluto and Why It Had It Coming. Okay, here's why. Pluto does some things that other planets just don't do. They don't fall into the definition of a planet. I mean, first of all, a planet has to clear out its own orbital path. There can't be anything else in there. Now, of course, things can cross through it, but there has to be one dominant feature of that orbit. Earth is the only planet in the Earth orbit. Moon's not really in the Earth orbit. The moon goes around the Earth. Okay, Venus is the only planet in that orbit. Pluto crosses Neptune's orbit. Pluto invades Neptune's orbit. Okay, planets aren't supposed to do that. By definition, planets don't invade other planets' personal space. Okay, but Pluto does. So maybe Pluto shouldn't be a planet. Here's another thing that happens. There's now orbits of all shapes and sizes are not perfect circles. They once were thought to be, but they're not. They're elliptical. There's a long part of the orbit, and there's a short part of the orbit, so they're elliptical. Pluto's orbit is so elliptical that it crosses Neptune's orbit, for one. But it's so elliptical that it's almost more like a comet, like a comet-style orbit would be. And so that's the sort of the second knock against Pluto is its eccentricity is what it's called. The eccentricity needs to be closer to 0, and Pluto's is well over 0.2. And if you look that up, you'd see that planets just don't have that kind of eccentricity. And the third thing that is the reason why Pluto is no longer a planet is that it's heavily tilted. So all of the planets tend to orbit around the sun in basically a flat plane. The plane is called the ecliptic. The ecliptic. Pluto is not on the ecliptic. Pluto is tilted heavily to the ecliptic, so it spends much of its time above and much of its time below the ecliptic, but not on the ecliptic. And so it doesn't behave as planets behave. It behaves more like an asteroid or a comet. And so when Mike Brown started to look at these things, he said, really, we shouldn't be calling Pluto a planet. It doesn't behave like a planet. It's not that he wiped Pluto out. It's not that he eliminated it from the solar system. It's still there. But what do we now call it? We call it a Kuiper Belt object. And the Kuiper Belt is a region of our solar system beyond Neptune in which lie probably thousands of Pluto-like planets. Sedna, Quoar, Makey. There's lots of them that have been discovered and lots have been named. Pluto is one of them. Pluto is really called a Kuiper Belt object, sometimes called trans-Neptunian, but it is no longer called a planet.